This episode of Daughter is Hughes.
Get every single episode plus video and talk to us in the comments at daughterpod.com.
Is all about how Talissa grew up, and then we're gonna have some mind the gap questions. It's gonna be really fun. We're just gonna have a few questions for each other. Do you have the box, the mind the gap box?
I was just thinking of that.
It's right over there. Go grab it, and then she is not okay. That's okay. Just bring the whole box over.
Raised me.
Just bring the whole box.
You
Okay.
raised.
All right. Okay. Chaos. Here we go. So we're gonna get into those questions in just a sec. Mind the gap. Link is in the bio on both of our TikToks as well as the website for Solid Roots, and go follow Solid Roots TV on TikTok. People are always asking, like, I mean, the main question comes in on the videos that have gone viral when I've made you food.
Yeah.
They're like, how does she know what she wants to eat? What do you think it is? Before I give my 2 cents, why do you think you always know what you want to eat?
Well, there's 2 different things that come from this.
Remember that there's a mic here and we're recording.
Hey.
See, people aren't going to understand. They're going to be like, she sounds fine. Yeah, because I took 3 hours to make her sound okay. Go ahead.
I thought I had... Wait.
These are my daughter issues.
Yeah, that's right. So anyways, it comes from 2 different places. I think for me, I know what I want because, first of all, my stomach is just sensitive to a lot of things, and my stomach is very small.
She get it from her daddy.
Yeah, this is true. So when I eat, I have to like take breaks, but it's a weird situation. So oftentimes when I'm hungry, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I want, and I want them in small portions, and I know what's not going to make my stomach hurt. I know what I'm craving in that moment. I don't really know. It's just like a no type of thing. And I know the exact portions too, because I just level out the salty and the sweet and the spicy of what I want in that moment, or the crunch or the soft or whatever. I don't know. I just get a certain, I want this thing, and I know how to get it. And I tell him, and he's like, okay. But yeah, but I also just grew up that way. I think my dad's always been like, you want something, speak up about it, and we can try and make it happen. Instead of just like thinking about what you want and hoping that someone just does it. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, speak up about it. So that's just always how I've been sort of raised. So
my trauma helped her.
This is true.
But yeah, that's it was always important to me for you to develop social skills very early on. So I think a lot of parents develop a codependent relationship with their kids, and they don't realize it. So it feels good to be needed,
Right.
just in general. Someone's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. That's a good feeling, right? So when your kid needs you for something, you feel empowered. And you think, when they come to you and they're like, Mommy, will you open my milk carton? And you're like, sure, sweetie. And you do it, that's great. You're being a good mother.
Right.
But imagine how cool it would be if you showed them step by step how to open it and empowered them as early as you possibly could, so that they could do things on their own sooner. And I had friends that had social anxiety, or that were afraid to talk to people out in public. They were afraid to place orders at restaurants. We would go, like, I was in my 20s when you were born, and I would go to Wendy's with 2 or 3 guys, and the guy would like whisper what he wanted to me and be like, hey, will you order me this? And I'm like, sure, I don't care. I'd order him and he would pay me for it. But I'm like, why aren't you coming up here interacting in this? And I realized that some of it can be just born with, some of it can purely be biological.
Right.
But I think a lot of it is also social.
Right.
And is environmental. So as early as I can remember, I had you ordering your own food with waiters and waitresses. I would have you order your own food at the drive-thru, like out the window. It was a little bit frustrating for the people who worked there sometimes, but more often than not, they thought it was adorable,
Right.
and loved talking to you.
Right.
But I remember the earliest instance I remember is I think you were 3 or 4. I think you were 3. And we were at some place and you whispered to me, you said, "Dad, I want the chicken strips." And I was like, "Talissa, I don't work here. Like, find somebody with an apron and tell them."
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, "Oh, so you're trying to wave people down that aren't our waiter." And I just let you make the mistakes. And they're like, "Oh, I'll get your waiter right now." They'd be like, "What do you need?" And usually they would just bring you whatever you asked for because, and you would ask for salads and Diet Coke sometimes. You're like 7. And the waiter's going, "I'm sorry, you want what? You want a salad and a Diet Coke? How is this 37-year-old woman in a 4-year-old's body?"
Yeah.
But I wanted you to order and ask questions, or you would ask me. You'd be like, "Do they have this here?" And I'm
Right.
like, "I don't work here."
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to be rude. I was
think-
trying to let you know to find the resource and
Yeah.
solve the problem yourself.
I think my earliest memory of that was on the border in Texas. There's probably 1 or 2 in California, but it's like a Tex-Mex situation.
It's a Tex-Mex restaurant
in
yeah.
Texas that we used to go to all the time. I think that's one of my earliest memories of you being like, "I don't work here. I don't know why you're telling me." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. You don't work here."
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Does this work like school? Because I need some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you were like 7 or 6 or maybe 6, you would ask to order pizza when your friends were over.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what I would do then?
You'd just be like, "Okay, order it."
Here's my card.
Yeah. Or no, you would say, "Go get my card."
Yeah.
Know, you probably know where it is. It's in one of 3 spots.
Yeah.
Go find it.
But I would have you call at 6 years old and try to order pizza. And I'll never forget the panic on your face.
Yeah, I had panics.
When you came running out on the phone and you just eyes wide, just in total panic. And you're like, "What's a zip code?"
Well, because
You're like, "I've read all the numbers on the card.
I know.
I gave her the area code. What's a zip code?" And I hear the lady laughing on the other end of the phone. She thought it was so cute. And I told you the difference between a zip code and an area code.
And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, you're like, "Oh, that makes sense." In case there's the same address.
Well, because I thought all I needed was the card. I was like, all I need to do is make sure
pay
I
for it.
order what I want, you want, and whatever drinks, and then read the numbers on the card.
And you knew your address, including the zip code.
Yeah, I did.
You would rattle it off, but
I
you
just
had never
didn't
been
know.
told that was the zip code.
Yeah, right.
It was just, I would ask you your address. So I would, Talissa would say, I would have her say her full address and my phone number and her mother's phone number every night before she went to bed.
Yeah.
So there was like a little chant thing that she did to remember that for safety. So you knew all the address numbers. You just didn't know which ones were called.
I didn't know. Yeah.
So you just come out like this whole pizza's ordered. You've given them the credit card information. You've given them the address, and they get to this. She's like, "And zip code?"
I almost gave him our alarm code because I knew that was a code too, and I was like,
that I need to.
They need to
But
come.
Dad said to never give anybody that code.
Nobody gets that code but us. But zip code sounds important. That sounds right.
Yeah, us and Domino's. That's the only people that know how to get. That's funny. So, so I always just encourage you to talk to adults, man. I wanted you to, and I never talked to you like you were a baby either. You just always.
I hated that.
I was like, "What's up? How was your day?" I was never like, "Well, hello, Talissa. How was your day at school?" And when people did talk to you that way, you'd be like, "What's her problem?"
Yeah,
like,
I was like, "There's something wrong with this person." I was like, "No, there's like, I need to be nicer to this person because there's clearly something going on.
Yeah.
Like, are you okay? Do we need to do you want a coloring book?" Like, I felt very strange that people would talk to me that way. I remember that was something that was very strange.
Well, and the codependency thing I'm talking about is like, I think a lot of parents, they love that feeling of being needed or wanted from their kids, but then they get overwhelmed when their kid needs them all the time, or when their 27-year-old calls them for bank questions, or how do I fill out a check, or how do I,
Right.
you can, if you don't know, there's no shame in not knowing, but there are professionals who can help you. And I'm not saying don't call your parents for advice. We all do.
Right.
Never stop. I'm always here for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, like, my entire job, and this is a little morbid and weird, but my entire job as a parent is to teach you how to live without me.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be on my deathbed someday having you going, "Dad, please don't go, please don't die." And I'm like struggling to hold on, and you're like, "Please don't leave me." I want you to be like, "Dad, I got this. Let go."
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
"You're fine. I'm going to be fine. Don't suffer. Like, just
Don't worry.
just go." Yeah. So I wanted to make you as strong as possible, as soon as possible. So when you were like, I think 3 or 4, I had you cut your own steak.
Yeah.
And I showed you how. and people would be freaked out that I was letting a 4-year-old hold a knife. And I'm like, look, I would show you, I would hold your hand out and I would like poke you with it and be like, it won't hurt this way. And then I would put it on the steak and go, if you pull it, it rips the skin. And we would cut the steak. And you're like, oh, I'm like, you're not a moron. Like,
Yeah.
and the inspiration for this, by the way, was like when you watch nature documentaries and there are tribes that are not acclimated to civilization. There are literal 3-year-olds like whacking plants with a machete and like doing grown-up stuff. And I'm like, why can't our kids do that stuff?
Yeah.
Like the brain is capable and she's going to hurt herself sometimes, but it's not going to be catastrophic. It's fine. So yeah, I just always push you to do that. And you never really had a major issue. I don't remember. I mean, you did climb up on a bathroom sink and get a glass soap dispenser.
So what
then you fail.
No. Okay, listen. See, what had happened was...
But you were not supposed to be climbing on the sink. That was a broken rule.
No.
Yeah.
I was a little monkey. I climbed on everything.
Yeah, but you weren't supposed to climb up there and grab.
But I didn't fall from that.
No.
So what? See, it's okay. It was dinner time, and we were all going to wash our hands in the kitchen, and there was no soap. And I loved being helpful. I loved doing things for people, or especially when they didn't tell me. I was like, I did this thing. And they're like, oh my God. Like, I loved that sort of interaction. So how old was I?
3.
I was 3?
Mm-hmm.
Was I really 3?
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Well, why do I
of
remember?
you with the big SpongeBob.
Oh, yeah, I was 3. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
3 is about when memories start sticking.
Okay, that makes
sense.
sense.
And especially this one. This was a pretty traumatic situation for you.
Yeah.
So this is probably your earliest memory.
Yeah, it is. I think my very first memory is super blurry and vague, but I don't know how old I was at that time. But this is definitely one of the first like big memories of like full. I remember what things are and look like and names and all that. So it was dinner time, and I was like, we were all gonna wash our hands in the kitchen, and there was no soap, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get some soap from the bathroom. So I run to the bathroom. I climb up on the counter, grab this little glass soap, and I go running around the corner, and I slip. And as I slip, I drop the soap, the glass soap, and it breaks. And as I'm falling, my hand just like smashes into it. And I just remember being like, and my blood was just running down.
I did not think it happened that way.
That's how it happened.
I thought you were walking, holding it with 2 hands, and you tripped and fell, and it broke in your hand.
No.
You dropped it first.
I was running, holding it in one hand.
Oh.
And it as I
no running in the house. That's 2 rules she broke. Just saying.
We ran all the time in the house.
Shut up.
You trying to we played with footballs, we wrestled, we jumped over stuff, we tried to touch the ceiling, we did all types of stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. But
there's no proof of that. There may be a lot of videos on the internet.
There's plenty.
Probably on Facebook.
Yeah.
Of me literally jumping over you.
Yeah.
Or over the couch.
Yeah. And that was
We didn't have a TV for a long time.
We didn't need one.
We jumped over stuff.
That's yeah.
I could jump some stuff.
He's got some hops.
I got some hops.
But point being is I was running, and as I fell, and as I fell, I dropped it, and it just like happened all at once, like simultaneously.
Oh, I see.
It like broke, and I smashed my hand into the broken glass, and then I was like, oh my gosh, and I still have scars here, and here from it. But I just remember not seeing my hand and only blood, and I specifically remember a little like black dot like rolling around in my blood, going, "What is that?" And then that's all I remember. And then you were like,
What was the black dot?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know I remember. It might have been like some, I don't know. I have no idea. I just remember seeing a black dot. I don't remember you coming to me. I don't remember the pain. I don't remember that. I just remember seeing everything before that and it happening. And then I remember us being in the car and you feeding me grapes. I remember laughing because you were like, pretend like I bit you, and you were like, ow, or whatever. And I was laughing at that.
Yeah.
I remember Dr. Hamburger. And I remember you tricking me into getting shots in my arms. And then...
In your arms?
They were, like, in my arms, right? I had to get shots in my arms to numb something, to get stitches.
No. They gave you shots in your hand.
Oh, in my hand. I don't remember that either.
Literally putting needles into the open wound.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I don't remember that. I just remember, I didn't see it. I just remember you holding my arm. So I figured it was in my arm somewhere.
Yeah. So, Dr. Hamburger. So, I think his name was Dr.
Lambert.
Lambert. I think it was Lambert.
It's not Berg?
Mm-mm. And you called him Dr. Hamburger. He was also quite the big fellow, which it made it even funnier that you called him Dr. Hamburger. And it was really funny. But he was the one for the follow-up. He was not the one you saw the first night.
I don't remember.
So
He's the only one I remember.
Well, he was your regular physician that we saw on a regular basis for you.
Mm.
So you saw Dr. Hamburger a lot. This night, I took you to an ER, or your mom actually drove. I was in the back seat with you with a bowl of grapes, and I was feeding you grapes, and then you're right, I would act like you bit my finger, and then you would laugh at me. We wrapped it in paper towel. We wrapped your hand in paper towels and then wrapped a shirt around it because it was just like...
I don't remember that.
You were
gushing
blood.
I know there was something over it, but I don't know what it was, and I don't remember that process. I don't remember anything like that.
And then we took you back. When we walked in, they only let one parent come back. And I was already holding you, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to leave your mom out there, but what should I do? And I just walked you back there because you needed the care instantly. And when I got back there, the nurse said to lay you on your back, so I did. And then she goes, okay, Dad, I'm going to need you to hold her wrist down like this for you to literally be pinned to the table like this to get your shot. She's like, you got to hold her down because she's going to move because this is going to hurt. And I was like, I'm not holding her down like a wrestling match. I was like, you just need to isolate this arm. And she said, yes. So I picked you up and I hugged you and I had your arms going through and I pinned your arms down under my arms. So I was basically, your head was right here on my chest and your arms were sticking through and I turned my back to her and I was holding your arm still. So she then pulled your arm as tight as she could get it and gave you shots in your hand. And the whole time you were going, I just want to go home, Daddy. I'll sleep in my own bed. I promise I'll sleep in my own bed. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You're promising to sleep in your own bed.
Well, because I know y'all were annoyed by that.
Yeah, you kept coming in there every night. Can I sleep in your bed? No. God. But anyway, yeah, that's why you remember your arms being extended. Yeah, as if I was going to be like, oh yeah, no, let her bleed out. She's going to sleep in her own bed. I'll just toss her in her bed and this is her problem.
Right.
No, but I didn't want you to see it. And I also didn't want you to have the memory of me like aggressively holding you down. I just wanted it to be a hug instead of something terrible.
God, I'm glad I don't remember that pain. It was probably too much.
Well, I've felt that exact pain before. I have scars on my right hand from a glass panel in a door that shattered. And
yeah, that's right.
I was like 21.
So you remember all that.
There was no hugs. Like it was just be still, stupid. or we're going to stab you in the wrong spot. So I was like, ah! And I was watching them like inject, the anesthesia into my open wound. Not a fun thing. So I didn't want you to have to go through. This is only, as a matter of fact, I was 21 when that happened and I was like 27 when this happened to you. So
yeah, I remember they wrapped up like everything. But it was like my entire arm and my other fingers. So I don't know why they wrapped my other fingers and my arm. You would think it would just be like this part, but they literally wrapped like from here all the way up, and it was like separate.
It was just to keep it on because kids move around a lot.
Oh, okay.
If you're an adult, they could just wrap your hand and you'd be fine. But when you're 3, they're like, it's going to be coming unraveled or whatever. Because they had to give you a lot of stitches, and then the stitches had to come out. We had to go see Dr. Hamburger to get your stitches out.
That makes sense. Because I don't remember the other doctor. I only remember Dr. Hamburger.
Yeah, it was a nurse, and she wasn't very nice. And she was kind of snapping at everybody. She's an ER nurse. Like, she doesn't have time to be nice.
Fair.
She's got 19 people with stab wounds waiting on her. So it's the ultimate customer service nightmare. So yeah, you were brave though. And then I went somewhere. I think we went to CVS on the way home, and I got a CVS or Walgreens. I think it was Walgreens, and I got you a giant SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And so that's the picture we have is you with giant SpongeBob with your shirt off and your whole arm bandaged. And to add to it, I added caution tape. I had some caution tape. I added caution tape to your bandage.
I think that was a separate situation. I think you're getting that confused.
No, I did it. I don't know if it's in that picture, but I know I did it for that.
No, there's a time when I was like 9 where I messed up my elbow and you added caution tape.
I've done it several times.
You did?
Yes.
You did it that time too?
Yes. I'm pretty sure I did. It's not in the picture. I think it's just blue in the picture.
Puppy.
I think it's just blue in the picture, but I've added caution tape. Your mom used to make fun of me for that. You would you would have a cut on your ankle. I'd wrap your whole right leg
Yeah, that's
in
true.
ace bandage and caution tape. And run around the house with you on my shoulder going, rear, rear.
She's
Aggressive. What's your problem,
I
dog?
woke her up from her nap.
Get it, dog? Okay. I'm going to start making you wear headphones so that you're aware of where you need to
I
be with the
wasn't talking.
microphone.
If I was talking, I would come up, but I was back here.
You've been watching her. No, you.
Did I wake you from your nap?
You've been watching her. Does that look weird to y'all? I'm looking over here, but I'm pointing there. It's a very weird setup. I get it. So yeah, I mean, I think the reason you know what you want is also you're just self-aware. Like you're just self-aware and you don't mess around and you're just strong-willed. So you're just very specific about what you want. And I think that's great.
Yeah. I think I also like all my friends because I was raised that way. And just like handling stuff and like just knowing and talking to people and just being honest about stuff. Growing up, my friends were always like, "Oh, Talissa will handle it," or "Oh, Talissa's gonna whatever," or even like their parents would recognize that and be like, they would ask their parents, "Can I go somewhere?" They're like, "Is Talissa going with you?" Then yes. Like one of my friends
You
gave
were babysitting people your age.
Yeah. Well, one of my friends' moms gave me the house key instead of her daughter, and we were like 10. And I was like, I was even like, I would be offended if I was her, but she was fine with it. She's like,
Yes.
yeah, that makes sense. You're Talissa.
She's
I'm
like,
like,
yeah, I
"Oh."
don't want to get in trouble for losing it.
Yeah. Which I get in hindsight, like, well, okay, it makes sense. But I've always kind of been that way, but it's because of
Yeah.
how I was raised. So I was also figuring stuff out and making decisions for other people. I think just growing up and being that type of person in a lot of those situations. I mean, even now, sometimes I don't know always. I mean, I always have my days where I'm like, I don't know what I want right now. But majority of the time, I'm like, I know exactly what I want and I know how to do it. But it's also, I'm not super keen on it either. I'm like, if someone else has another idea, we can do that too. But if no one's like, I don't know, I'm like, well, we'll do A, B, and C.
And we've literally done this before. I'm like, hey, I think I want to order this for on DoorDash. And you're like, I don't want that. I want this. And I'm like, well, I don't really want that. And you're like, okay, you order your food. I'll order my food. And I'm like, okay.
All right.
We literally have two separate orders show up for different food. Like, yeah, you do you, homie. And it's fine. Like, it doesn't have to be a battle. You know, I feel like so many people are, to me, it's about the time we spend together way more than forcing you to eat what I cook or whatever. I'm just like, it's just not that serious.
It's really not.
It's just
or
not.
Eating at the same place. There's a certain sort of ideology around, let's all eat at the same place together. And for whatever reason, even when you're out with people and out with friends, they're like trying to decide on a place. And like, if it's like half and half, I'm like, why can't we go to this drive-through and this drive-through and then go at a picnic table and eat together? They're like, oh, it's like somehow it's an explosion. It's like, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to one place together. And, you know, I'm just like, I don't see that as needed.
There was a time not too long ago we went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and you were with your friends, and I got there like 12 minutes early, and y'all were doing something in the parking lot hanging out, and I got tired of waiting, so I just went and got my own table, and then y'all came in like 15 minutes later and got your own table, and I'm like, hey, stupids,
we're like,
we don't have to. Yeah, they're like, we can't sit you unless your whole party's here. I'm like, well, I want some chicken.
Yeah, so
let's just set me, and then we'll get to it.
And when I got there, I was like, that makes sense. I would have done the exact same thing.
Yep.
So.
And then I came over and talked to y'all after. So.
Yeah, and it was fun.
It's just about acceptance and being chill with each other. Like, things don't have to be so uptight.
I think it stems from wanting what's best for that person, or wanting that person to have a good time. Prioritizing that versus, I want you to have a good time with me.
The way I think a good time should be had.
Right. Yeah. Or even the stereotypical, this is how families should be. There's like that hover of like, it's like, no. You want chicken? Go get your chicken. We'll talk later. Yeah. Like, that's where I feel like it really stems from.
The real happiness comes from that inner peace of relaxing and just being like, I'm accepting you and you're accepting me. Let's just be cool.
Right.
Instead of, we have to eat the same thing at the same time or my head's gonna explode. Like, no, it's okay.
It's okay. Or even that's just how sometimes people are raised and they're not used to that sort of okayness of, hey, it's gonna be okay. It's all right. So just even realizing that is good alone.
So I remember moments throughout my childhood where I started to realize my dad or my mom weren't like superheroes. Do you remember those moments where there's like, oh, dad made a mistake or dad had to apologize to me? Or was that a moment for you, or was it just kind of? You kind of knew I was stupid most of your life.
It wasn't ever really like that. I mean, you were Superman on the block. That's what everyone called you.
Actually, that's true. They literally did call me Superman. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I mean, there was like everyone loved you, and it was always like, oh, David's gonna hang out with the kids. David's gonna take us somewhere. We're all gonna go get McDonald's. We're all gonna hang out or something. But I knew like we were all human, and that was very clear from the beginning of memory. I feel like for me, it was like, yeah, you make mistakes. That's what happens, and so does dad, so does mom, so does brother, so does dog. Everybody makes mistakes. Just accept it, apologize, and move on. So I don't think I was ever like, oh, he makes mistakes too. What? Like it was always just like
That's interesting.
humans
Because
are
my
humans.
parents were not like that. It was because I said so. Things were very like they were up here and I was down here. I was not. It wasn't like that. So the first time I heard my mom say something that I knew was factually inaccurate, I was like, wait a minute. Maybe she's wrong about them damn dishes needing to be done too. And it called everything into question. I'm like, is my face really going to stick like that? Now I have questioning everything.
Are my eyes going to stay crossed or? Yeah. Which is
Are
why.
you sure I can't swim after eating? Because this sounds false.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it was even false. But this is why public school doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
That was one downside is the parenting didn't line up with the parenting of everybody else and Gen X. I feel like, so being in school, I'd be like, can I go to the bathroom? And they're like, no. I was like, excuse you? How about I pee in the plant or in my seat and you can watch me or I can go to the bathroom. Now you pick.
So I always taught you that it was okay to challenge authority, but I stressed that you needed to do it respectfully. You could always ask me why. And that's the hardest thing about being a parent is you want your kid to be the strong one that's not going to back down, or that's not going to be bullied, or if someone's trying to harm them or hurt them in some way, for them to push back on the attacker and be like, I'm not getting in your stupid van. I'm not doing what you said. But when you teach your kids, because I said so, and that's always the rule, they start learning that adults are the boss, they are subordinate, and when adult says, get your butt in the van, they get their butt in the van. And so it's so important to allow your kids to challenge authority, but you have to understand it starts with you. You have to be okay with being challenged. Right. So I never had a problem with you saying why, because, and I don't know why parents don't think about it this way, but my idea was, yeah, if I tell you why, you're going to make a better decision next time, and we're probably never going to have this conversation again. So I'm like, you go, can I go outside with my friends? No. You say, why or why not? And you're angry. And I understand. I'm not just going to be like, because I said so, and don't roll your eyes at me. And I get all about my ego. Instead, I would be like, well, because the trash isn't taken out, and because I told you to clean your bathroom and you didn't clean your bathroom. And then in your mind, you go, oh, got it. And then you go clean the bathroom, and then you go take out the trash, and then you're like, I cleaned the bathroom and take out the trash. Can I go outside now? Yes. And then you know what you would do next time? Before you asked me, you would make sure the bathroom was clean and the trash was taken out, and you'd pop in and be like, Dad, I cleaned the bathroom and I took out the trash. Can I go outside? And I'm like, yep. Mission accomplished. Right. I never just acted like it was because I said so or it was in my brain. I wanted you to be able to challenge authority in a respectful way. I just didn't want you to be a jerk.
Right. And I also think at that young age, I would realize like, oh, like it's not just about cleaning it. It's just about, it's like health thing. Like cleaning things is a health thing. And because I would ask, why do I need to like I know like cleaning is a basic thing that you just are supposed to know to do. But like at the young age, I'm like, why do I need to do this so often? You'd explain it and be like, oh, and then I would realize when things are clean, people are just happier in general. So do you remember sometimes when you would come home and you would have a little note on your door and it'd be like a heart? It would be some type of drawing, and you'd open your door and you have your laundry folded and your bed made and like I would vacuum and stuff. And I would be like, I just did it because why not? Yeah. Or I would make random forts, be like, we're watching a movie tonight, just so you know, and I'm using your mattress.
Dragging my tiny little body, dragging my king size mattress out of my bed. And I'm like, she's like, okay, I want to make a deal with you. What? If I get your mattress out here by myself, can we watch a movie and build a fort in the living room? And I'm like, I'm not helping you get that big mattress. If you think you can do it, I can do it. And I'm like, she's not going to do it. She did it.
I did it.
Little tiny little body versus a giant king size mattress.
Yeah.
So funny to watch you struggle that thing through the door. I'm like, I can't believe, look at the ambition on this little one. She really wants to watch this. She really wants to watch some Tangled.
But it really like just all networked together sort of, and like it helped in other ways where I was like, oh, this makes you happy, or this needs to be cleaned because it needs to be clean for health reasons. And then so I started being like, oh, okay, doing other things, because I feel like I was also, one of my favorite things when I was little was making people like smile. I just wanted to present something and be like, look at this thing that I did.
That's where your art came from, I think, too.
Yeah,
you wanted to draw everybody that would come over, and I had a lot of people over because I was doing podcasts and shows or whatever. So I would just about every guest would be, you'd be like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? And then for the 2 hours while I was recording, you're in there drawing a pink giraffe, and people were like, oh, she's so sweet. There are some people I know that are in their 50s that are full-time like celebrity broadcasters that literally still have your picture that you drew for them when you were like 6 or 7
what's funny
years
about
old.
that is I'll be on live sometimes, and people from your old co-hosts or even old guests will be like, hey, Talissa, I don't know if you remember me, but you drew me my Yorkie in a blue color because it's my favorite color. I still have it on my fridge.
That
and I'm
is
like,
so
no
cute.
way. And
That's
there's a few people that I could name, even I'm not gonna put out names right now, but there's a few different people that still have it, and I always thought it was so sweet. I'm like, it means a lot, because at that time that was my entire focus.
Ask him to send you a picture of it.
Yeah,
It'd be cute to see some of
have a
the
bunch
pictures.
of them.
I ran into a guy in Tulsa last time I was traveling through there doing comedy, and he asked if we want to have lunch and we did, and he showed me a picture on his phone that he took a picture of. You drew his dogs, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, and he showed me a picture. He's like, it's still hanging up in his studio. It's so cute.
That's so sweet. Oh, the Yorkies with the mouth open, with the tongue out.
Seth.
Yeah. The Yorkies.
Yeah. I guess.
I think I have.
I thought he only had one Yorkie. Did he have two?
Maybe it was one.
Oh.
I don't know. But anyways,
Anyway,
it worked in other ways as well. Like just being able to ask questions and being responded to and knowing why and having reasons for things made me go, oh, that means I can apply that to other stuff. Meaning this is gonna make you happy, or this is gonna make me happy, or this is what I want. I know what you want, and I know how to just. It just all made,
and all I think all of that comes from answering the question why. When you push back and go why, give your kid an answer so that they know, like you're teaching them how to be an adult. It's just adult practice. That's all being a kid is. So let them be a kid, but also let them challenge you so that everything is a learning opportunity. Everything. We used to watch, anytime we'd watch a show, we'd watch Shark Tank, and they would bring up the valuation and be like, I would accept $400,000 for 20% of the company, and I would always pause it and be like, what's the company worth? And you're like, I'm 9. I'm like, I don't care. What's the company worth? It's a simple formula.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't unpause it until you told me that.
Yeah.
We would make things interactive and fun. I try not to make it like homeschool, but I just wanted you to always be thinking. I wanted you to always be challenging authority. And it's worked out well. And what I love about it is you have a leadership quality to you, but you don't. So you also don't do a lot of the terrible stuff that teenagers did. Like you weren't drinking alcohol, you weren't smoking weed, you weren't doing any of the things that a lot of your friends did. But I never had a problem with you being around them because I knew you had the leadership qualities.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, you were telling people that's a really bad idea, or I'm not lying to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sneaking into my bedroom window.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to hurt him, not because I don't want to get caught. It's going to upset him that I lied. So I built a bond with you and you didn't want to break that. So if you teach a kid to be strong, they can be around you don't have to control their friend group and not let them go outside and not let them stay out past 7 and not let them have Snapchat. Just teach them to make good decisions for the right reasons with a good, solid moral foundation. And then they can go explore the world and be around people that are smoking weed at a party. And I've never for 1 second thought you were going to get drunk or high at a party.
Right.
Never. I've just never even had the suspicion because I know that you weren't like that.
Right.
And anytime you did want to try something or we talked about it, we would sit down and discuss.
We had my first beers together.
Right. I did let you try.
But
They were wine coolers.
They were
beer.
okay, but we were together. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
I was like, I was like, what? 17, 16,
18, 17,
17?
something like that.
I think I was 17.
Probably the first.
Because this was
at try wine cooler.
Yeah.
In Texas, where it's legal, by the way.
Yeah, it's legal in Texas.
Yeah, I'll let you try a wine cooler. So.
But that's another part of it is when your kids come to you and they're like, hey, I want to try this thing. Like, I don't know any of my friends that would have done that. And I'm like, that's where I see the separation. I feel like in a lot of kids where they would rather just go out and do it with their friends in a very dangerous place. And I'm like, why would you just sort of disable your brain in a place where you're with people you don't really know, not in your home? I'm like, that to me was like, didn't make sense because of the reasonings behind it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, if I wanted to do something, let's make sure it's A, legal, and B, I'm with my dad or my mom and I'm at home safe if I decided to do something of that sort.
Yeah.
It just made sense. So
let's do some questions before we get out of here.
Yeah, I'm down for some questions.
That sounds fun. Are you going to pick the card in question for me? How do you want to do it this time?
I think we should do 3 questions. Okay. Each?
That's a lot.
Just 3 in general?
You
ask me 2, I'll ask you 1.
Let's do...
Because it's daughter issues, so...
Okay. That works.
I'll let you pick the...
I'll take a millennial question. You can pick, though. You can pick the category. Do you recognize English as the language on the card?
What were Burks?
Burks?
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Birks.
I have no idea. Shoes.
Birkenstock shoes, yeah.
I got it. I said it before you did. I got it.
Let's do a Gen X one for me.
You're going to do Gen X?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then my other one will be Gen Z.
Here we go. There's 2 on here I want to ask you. All right. The immediate successor to cassette tapes, this medium allowed users to quickly skip tracks.
What? Read it again.
The immediate successor to cassette tapes, this medium allowed users to quickly skip tracks.
I don't understand the question.
So medium is a way of transferring something.
Okay.
So a medium is media. Media is just plural mediums, like medium plural.
Okay.
So a media.
Social media is what I think about.
Well, yeah. Well, a media is a way to transfer information.
Okay.
So cassette tapes. What are cassette tapes? Talissa.
Information. On tape.
What is a cassette tape?
The baby tape?
Yes. Successor means immediately after that.
It has video.
Okay.
Audio.
Stop. Immediate successor means after that was the new thing. So what was the new thing that replaced cassette tapes that allowed people to quickly skip tracks?
That allowed people to quickly skip tracks. Why would they skip it if they're trying to watch it?
You weren't watching anything.
You were listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you skip it if you're trying to listen to it?
To the next song.
Oh.
Because a tape, you just had to fast forward for a long time and then guess when you were going to stop it and then forward and rewind and forward to get to the beginning of the next song. Or listen to the whole thing. You immediately start yawning when I talk about stuff from my childhood. Every single time. So this allowed people to just go, oh, I want to hear the 3rd track on this album.
The skip button.
Yeah.
There's not a button where you like, boop.
The immediate successor to cassette tapes, this medium allowed users to quickly skip tracks. I've given you way too much.
The skip button.
The skip button's not a medium, Talissa.
You had to roll the tape back. I don't know.
The answer is CDs. CDs replaced cassette tapes, and you could skip songs.
Oh, I thought they meant an accessory to the cassette.
Successor. I said successor.
I thought you said accessory. I thought you meant there was like a thing added to it that replaced that thing. Okay.
Ready?
I think that was you're asking me another one on
Yep.
there?
I want to ask you another one here.
I was going to do Gen Z.
I know.
I want to get a chance
We
to
can
get
do another
something
one.
right. Okay.
The original phrase. Oh, you already asked me that one. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. We already did that one.
Oh, was that for Jesse?
No.
Oh.
Let's just stick to it. I'm looking at the answers. Did you give me the card?
That was the questions.
What is this, Gen Z?
Yes. This is going to be so confident. It'll be fine.
In 2015, what rock band won their first Grammy for Ain't It Fun? Your people are gonna tie you up and throw rocks at your face for not knowing this answer.
One Direction. You said rock band. That wouldn't count. Never mind. Hold on.
You're gonna get
rock band.
You're gonna be kicked out of Gen Z.
Probably.
You're gonna
you said
have to
rock
join,
band.
You're gonna have to join Alpha.
Ain't It Fun?
Ain't It Fun? Rock band. Ain't It Fun?
2015. Oh, how old were they? Old people?
No.
Rock
no,
band?
Not necessarily.
Rock band.
In 2015, what rock band won their first Grammy for Ain't It Fun? There you go. It's the middle question.
What'd you say?
Nothing. Don't look at the answer.
I don't know the answer.
Paramore.
I'm gonna ask you one.
Okay, then we're done.
Boomer.
You can ask me a boomer question.
Yeah.
All right. Today, you're gonna ask me today? You're gonna ask me one?
Give me a minute.
I wonder what the people...
What blocks were introduced by Lego in 1969 for children 5 and under?
Stack'ems.
What blocks were introduced by Lego in 1969 for children 5 and under?
Legos.
I don't even know how to say it. Duplo?
Huh?
Duplo? The second one.
Never heard of it.
Let me ask you another one.
We're done. The podcast is now ended.
I want to do another one. What did Mars and Murray first sell to the U.S. Army during World War II so soldiers could enjoy chocolate without it melting?
The Mars bar.
This is actually really interesting. I didn't know that. What did Mars and Murray first sell to the U.S. Army during World War II so soldiers could enjoy chocolate without it melting?
M&M's.
M&M's.
Melt in your mouth, not in your hand. That's what the M&M stands for. Is Mars and Murray.
Yeah. Nice. Even though we technically got it wrong
Crushed
the first
it
time.
where the points don't matter.
These are so fun.
Yeah. If you want it, the link is in the bio. Mind the Gap. The link is in the bio for in both of our. It's on yours too. Yeah, the link is in the bio. Go get Mind the Gap. It's a fun game.
Mind the Gap. I love it.
All right, thank you so much. If you want to get all the behind the scenes episodes, all the episodes plus video, literally everything without any commercial interruption, do so at daughterpod.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the Daughter Issues podcast, and the podcast.
Okay, that's enough.
Is over.
Hi. How are you doing? That's good. I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Thank you.
He's just dealing with this a little bit because he likes it in the show for whatever reason. I know you know, and I know that I end the podcast, right? He doesn't, so I don't know why he would be acting like that. That's okay under any circumstance. But it's all right, you know. The podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. By the way, the podcast.
My teeth clicked together.
Did it?
Vibrating. It's now ended. Do the thing.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast that we do called Daughter Issues. And if you haven't seen, if you're not on Patreon and you're watching
please,
this,
don't encourage this behavior.
Let me finish.
Don't encourage this behavior.
If you haven't seen, we did a sort of a BTS of TikToks and that sort of problem.
I got banned from TikTok, and we told the story on Patreon.
Yeah, basically. So if you aren't on Patreon, go ahead and go take a look at that. That's an interesting one. But yeah, love you guys lots. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for joining us on Daughter Issues. The podcast has now ended.
Get every single episode plus video and talk to us in the comments at daughterpod.com.